And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. It's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket.
Welcome to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. How you doing? I am he. How about them Cowboys? How about them? Anyway, welcome to the show, y'all. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Let me get rid of this. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming by. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And the show also airs on our Roku channel as well as Amazon Fire TV. So please like, share, subscribe, do all those things. If you'd like to join the show, please join us in the chat. And if you'd also like to become a panelist and like to actually be on air, please send me a message. Let me know. theparkermedia@gmail.com, or you can send me a DM and we will reach back out to you. And without further ado, let me bring in my wonderful panel. Look at all these beautiful people. What's going on, fam? How y'all doing?
What's happening?
All right.
What's happening?
We got Mr. CJ Jones. How you doing, sir?
I'm in the house.
All right. You want that hat, don't you? You want that cowboy hat, don't you? I know you do. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you want it. And we also have coming from New York City, Miss Lori Parker. How you doing, Lori?
How you doing? Brooklyn in the house. Chilling in Brooklyn.
I'm guessing your green screen is broken. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and address my green screen since Anthony asked and then CJ asked my private message why you don't see the big Empower logo behind me like it normally does. It's pretty cool, isn't it? See, it's funny when I ain't got something going and people notice it. So, okay. So here's the breakdown before I introduce my last panelist. I got a brand new computer, which looks exactly like the one I had before. And the one I had before was starting to give me problems because I was running a lot of programs, streaming, video uploads, all kinds of things for Empower. And I had to get a new computer. And I'm using a different browser, which is Edge. And apparently Edge and StreamYard don't get along when it comes to doing green screen graphics. And I did not find that out until 3 minutes before the show was going to start. And I was like, well, if I'm going to have to download Chrome, that's going to take too long before the show. So I figured, you know what? I'm just going to ride green today.
Been there, done it.
So I didn't realize that running Edge through StreamYard that will not let you have a green screen background. And I was trying to get away from Chrome because I felt like Chrome was part of the reason my last computer slowed down, because when you open up one tab in the background, it opens up about 6 or 7 because of all the plugins that go along with it. So as I had more and more things on that computer, opening up all those tabs in the background was slowing down my performance. So I just bought 2 brand new computers today so I could separate some of the things that I do on that one computer into 2, not to overload it. So also because some partners that I have in India and England have gotten together and we have created another channel called the Creative Entertainment Network. And it will be up and running pretty soon. And what this channel is going to be dedicated to, which is really, really cool concept, if you're in the film industry, you've heard of Film Freeway and some of those other film festivals out there. Well, what we decided to do was have a 24 hour, 365 day a year film festival channel where we will get short films from all over the world, put them on this channel, and be able to run it like a film festival every month. So every month there's going to be different films added, old ones taken off and stuff like that. So I'll be uploading those onto that Creative Entertainment Network channel as well, so that we can give exposure to a lot of these independent filmmakers out there that want other places to be able to stream their short films and be able to show it to the world. So look out for that. Coming soon, Creative Entertainment Network. So yeah, I've got a partner in India, Mary, and Z in England. So us coordinating our times together just to even have a call is crazy. So thank God for WhatsApp. It keeps us going. So, you know, we all have little things that we're doing with the project. So I'm doing the heavy lifting as far as channel creation and uploading the movies and things like that. And then other ones will be doing the categories and all that other kind of stuff. So pretty exciting. Looking forward to that. I know we've been working on that for a little while. So look out for that. Now, without further ado, the reason that Empower has been able to break off and do all of those things is because of the popularity from around the world, especially from the female population. Look, y'all, I can't keep up with all these women. I used to think that I could just bring them in like that. And don't get me wrong. Oh, I can bring them in too. But I can't bring them in like this panelist here, y'all. This one can bring them in from Japan, Germany, India, Brazil, Cucamonga, well, all them places. All them places. People got birds on them, half naked and everything else, and they will join this show for one reason and one reason only. It ain't to hear me talk. It ain't because I got a green screen or no green screen. They come on and watch this show for one reason. And I present to you right now the one, the only, the franchise, Mr. Jermaine Parker. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I appreciate you breaking me out like that. And I have a short film with long content that you guys can go check out on my OnlyFans. Only $5. Lots of short films, long content. Yeah, link in the bottom.
Okay. Lori, that sounds interesting. That kind of reminds me of my before Lori days where I had some straight to film movies as well under my alias, Nico Long. So check that out. Check it out. Let me know if I still got it, fam. So it's funny. You know, last week we actually got to enjoy. Lori, we missed you last week. First of all, we're glad you're feeling better. Yes. But we were able to inject some talk about football last week, and so we're not going to bore you with that this week because even though we know how much you just love football,
I do. I do.
I ain't gonna go all football this week, but I will say a few things about football real quick. Today, Ben Roethlisberger announced his retirement from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, that was all expected, but he made it official today. Congratulations, Big Ben, for a wonderful season and all the memories that you've shown us that even big fat boys can be quarterbacks and cause defensive backs to make business decisions when they decide they want to blitz and tackle you. Absolutely amazing career. Other than that, we had a very, very great weekend of playoff football. I know the Cowboys wasn't in it. I know Rams were in it and they won. Congratulations to them for beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and potentially forcing Tom Brady into a retirement as well. So we'll look out for that. Yeah, it might. And then look at but then from this past weekend of football. This past weekend of football, I got to witness something, Jermaine. I saw a team in Kansas plays in 13 seconds.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that was amazing.
And the week before, we saw one team that could not run one in 19 seconds. So anyway, how about them? So it was a great week of football. It's a great week. I know. It's gonna be like this all the way through July. But anyway, guys, it's been a good week. I hope everybody's doing well. Everybody out there, please chime in with the comments. We'll be checking on those and reading those online as well. But I really wanted to get started because there's a lot of things going on in the news. And, if people haven't been watching, my conversation is really about this first year. And we're a week into it now. So we're 1 year, 1 week in to the Biden-Harris administration in office. I was going to talk about it a little bit last week, and then we got into football, and it was okay. So a whole 370 something days that Donald Trump has not been president. Thank God, Jesus. But there are some things that I actually miss from Donald Trump. And I never thought I would ever say that. But watching Joe Biden's piss poor leadership and use of what is normally called a bully pulpit has really just put something in my side, in my craw. And I'll let me explain. There are 50 Republicans that pretty much made it clear a long time ago that they will try to sink whatever Democratic president is in office. Mitch McConnell, when Barack Obama was president, had one singular goal, and that was to make Barack Obama a one-term president. It didn't work, but he literally said his singular goal was to make Barack Obama a one-term president. Not to bring relief, aid, anything else, but to make Barack Obama a one-term president. That was his one goal. Now, if I remember correctly, Barack Obama was president for 8 years. That means that Joe Biden was vice president for 8 years. And he got to witness up close the obstruction that the other side was committed to. So this fool has a news conference a week ago and literally looks at us in our eyes and said he had no idea that they would be that obstruction again, that their singular goal was to try to be a block and a hurdle to his agenda. I almost said N-word. Where the hell have you been, Joe? Maybe you are sleeping. Because who in the living hell would believe that you didn't know that before you even ran for president? That their main goal was going to be to block everything that you wanted to do. Joe Biden still think that Strom Thurmond, Jesse Helms, Bob Dole, and all them cats are still in the Senate. He must really, really believe that. Oh, I'll get in there, and once Trump is gone, they'll kind of like break back to the old days where we sit around in the back rooms and smoke on some cigars and drink a little yak and talk it out like men and stuff like that, and we'll figure it out. He must really thought that, because he either really was surprised that was their agenda, or he has got to be one of the most disingenuous SOBs out there.
Hey, let me. You got a good rant going on. Just real quick.
Go ahead.
Because it's on my heart and stuff. He really did believe that, and here's why.
All
right. He's white, and so
that's it. You ain't got to say no more. You ain't got to say no more. That's a wrap. That's the show.
But I got you, CJ. But I got you. So when you talk about, and so you made a really good point. So Joe's been in politics for what, 114 years, somewhere around there.
About that.
About 120.
And so
about 120.
Give or take 50. Yeah.
give or take 2 years. Joe's been around. Joe's an old motherfucker. Joe's been around for a long time, and so what he saw in a lifetime, in these years and decades, in politics, is that was not the goal of the other party. Why did it change, and when did it change? It changed because they had a black president. Yes, he was there. He saw it. They were telling him, "Hey, it's just because that Negro in there. We doing all this. We just don't like that." And he said, "Okay." And of course, they didn't do it during Trump because they didn't have to. And then it was his turn, and he really thought that they were going to go back to what it was because he's not a Negro. Yeah, sure, I got one behind me, but she's not out front. It's my policies. It's my stuff. We don't do that to each other.
That's what he was thinking. Listen, Jay, you said it. You said it. I was thinking. So I don't have nothing to say. I really don't. I wouldn't have said anything any differently. Yeah. What about you, Laura?
Well, I think that Joe Biden is really delusional. I really feel like he is in wanting to sit in on the plantation, looking at the vista, and thinking back from 100 years ago. But for him to say what he said, then to backtrack with everything that's going on, COVID, the possible war with Russia and Ukraine, supply chain issues, like there's other things. And even if you get into later in the broadcast about the Justice Breyer,
yeah,
he's just still thinking that these people really want to work. All they want to do is just to make everything stop. They want time to stop. And it's just ridiculous that he hasn't chosen to actually use what he has, which commands for everyone in the United States to say what needs to be said, that these people are a bunch of damn assholes. And I'm going to give it to you right now. I know they can't. I know he can't. But you know,
I ain't looking like that. I'm looking at it because you did.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I shook my head, but I shook my head because how old is Joe Biden?
He's like 285.
80. No, he's 76, 77, I believe. Yeah.
Well, close to 80.
And so for most of us, that's either our parents or our grandparents' age.
Mm-hmm.
And I would pose to you, do you think you would have your parents change? Is there anything about your parents or grandparents that says to you, I'm changing up who I am at 70-something years old?
Right. Point. That's not, great point. That's fair.
That's not who you elected. You didn't elect Donald Trump. You didn't elect somebody who was going to come in and use it as a bully pit. That wasn't what he ran on. He ran on being a unifier, not being a strong arm man. He that's not who he said he was, and that's not who he is. Yeah. And again, he's 70-something years old. He believes what he believes, like most people who have lived 70+ years. The facts are the facts to them. I believe in this, and quite honestly, it's not going to change. I'm never going to change my viewpoints or my strategy and stuff because I've lived to 70 and it's worked for me thus far.
That's a great point. Yeah,
I think a lot of people are asking a lot of somebody who never said that they were that person.
Yeah, we are. About it. Yeah, go ahead, CJ. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing with everybody right now. I'm just everybody's cheerleader. But I was just going to say, it's either that or dementia is very real.
It's definitely real because Trump actually had a test to see if he could say person, woman, man, camera, TV several times. Oh my God, I just did it. How did I do that? I must have like a really, really big brain.
See,
I
think what really happened was, and I'm definitely on board with what Lori said about him just being delusional. When we allow, when this country allowed the era of Trump to come in, that opened up a can that you can't, that rung a bell that cannot be unrung. I mean, everything and anything was allowed and is allowed. So it changes the game. And to what Jermaine is saying, he Biden is that type of old fashioned guy to where he's not going to change for the just sake of just not changing, because hey, we look alike. Hey, it's me. We don't have him no more, so we can go back to our old ways. And we're going past that point. So
So
it's
So-
just
so-
it's a bad look.
Before you go on, and I know you're going to, there was a question from Anthony who had posted.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Go ahead. Go with the question.
Yes, the question from Anthony was, can you see Kamala Harris being America's first Black female president?
Hey, so if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
because I'm actually gonna have to hop off. I gotta go get a child from some after school stuff, so I kind of wanted to rip off real quick before I go. So to answer that question before I get to the other stuff is no. Not because she's not qualified. In fact, Black women are extremely qualified in the things that they are nominated for. Look at what's going on right now with the Supreme Court seat and the nominations. The first thing, the narrative for the other side is that the picks from Biden, one of his top picks, isn't even qualified, and they didn't have a problem with Amy
Coney Barrett.
Barrett, who had never tried a case before 2017 and was elevated by Trump to a circuit judge without having any trial experience and never argued anything and stuff. In fact, even when she got to her nomination for the Supreme Court, she was vastly underqualified, but no one brought up her qualifications or when they were brought up by the Democrat side that she was unqualified and stuff, they were being sexist and misogynistic and stuff like that. So keep an ear out for those kind of talks about Biden's nomination because he wants to nominate a Black female. Is she qualified? Sure. And she's been the vice president. She's more than qualified. That alone qualifies her more than half the field, right? It might go out there. But presidential elections are more about popularity and money than anything else. And I just don't see that the country is at that point, not the way that we are right now. Back when Barack got elected and stuff, there was a lot of hope and a lot of people trying to come together, a lot of hand holding stuff, and we're just not holding hands anymore. Trump divided the country, and I just think because of that divide, talking about things that can't be unrung. But I don't believe that either. To get to CJ's point, I think when we say stuff like that, we lay out excuses for why we don't have to try. It doesn't have to be that way. Just because somebody tracks mud through my house doesn't mean that now my house is a pigsty. I can't say next time you need to take your shoes off and you need to clean up your mess. We don't have to continue down a road that we don't want to go down. If we continue that way, it's because the country wants to go that way. Grading these first 370 something days for Biden, I give him like a C, but it's not strong. It's not a complete failure, but it is kind of meh. Think about what would you consider his signature accomplishments during this year, and I guarantee you, for the average person, they're not really going to have anything to talk about.
Right.
One of the things that I'm disappointed, not just with Biden, but the whole Democratic Party, is that for some strange reason, the Republicans, even when they're in a minority, still know how to push their weight around and get things done. And it was the same things that the Democrats could have done when they were in the minority, but they didn't have strong enough leadership in the Senate to get that done. And again, it comes back to you can't have your grandparents being progressive. If you want progressive policies, you have to elect progressive people. You cannot elect people who have been doing the same thing for decades in the same job. If you go up to Lay's and you meet Mr. Willie, who's been operating the potato chip machine for the last 40 years, you are not going to get Mr. Willie to do something different. He's going to keep making potato chips the way he's been making potato chips all this time. When people get ingrained into their job, especially a government job, they continue to do it to the best of their ability. They won't get them fired. Not to excel, because there's no reward for excelling at a government job, but they don't want to get fired. And that's how Congress works. They do just enough not to get fired, or try to do just enough not to get fired. No one's out there trying to burn it up and stuff. So those are, I wish I could stay. I got way more.
Me too. Me too. I wish you could too, because I was going to ask the biggest question then: is Congress too old?
I think so.
And I don't want to make it ageism or anything, but when you guys are making good points about when you get a certain age, you kind of set and stuck in your ways because you think you've seen it all and you know it all. How do you adjust and change with the times when you're so far up in age? The average age of people in Congress is over 65 years old.
Yeah, and the average retirement age, you can start collecting Social Security at 62.
Right.
There's something, they always want to talk about elder statesmen, and what experience brings. One of the things I've been in the military, I've been in the Air Force for almost, it'll be 25 years in April. One of the things that I'm looking at is my retirement, because how long can I be here? And I could say, and I can rightfully say that I'm experienced, right? And I know what I'm doing, and I can stay longer. And the people behind me will never have as much experience as me. It's impossible for them to have as much experience as me. But it's my job to mentor, teach them, get them to where to be, and have an exit plan for myself that's good for the organization. And not worry about me individually, because if I can do what's good for the organization, hopefully the organization will take care of me on the way out, right? That's not Congress. They're worried about themselves as individuals, because they were worried about the country, the organization. They would do things different. They would make sure that they had term limits. They would make sure that there was just like there's a minimum age, why can't there be a maximum age? It's not ageism to say that. There just gets to be a point that we understand that people become decreased and less than, and they're not 100% when they get to be a certain age. So when we talk about Joe Biden and open mics and gaffes that he does and stuff like that, yes, it is because of his age. Yes, your grandfather does the same thing.
Exactly. They embarrass the hell out of you all the time. So why are you gonna be surprised Joe Biden on a hot mic called the person a dumb son of bitch? It's his presidency. My prediction in the next 3 years, is it going to be a failure? No, it's not going to be a failure. However, depending on how these midterms go, it could be unremarkable. But it's not a failure, because look at the economic growth that just happened in this last quarter. 6.9, I think, during Trump. I can't say for sure, but they were 3.5 GDP growth and stuff like that. The economy's growing. When you talk about COVID and the Republicans talking about he didn't have a plan, he did have a plan, but you fought him in the Supreme Court. You fought him in gubernatorial races and stuff, to not have mandates, to not have vaccines, to not have masks, to not do anything. And then when the race is out of control, you turn around and go with matches and gasoline in both hands, go, I don't know why this fire is so big. And that fireman over there is a loser, because he couldn't put it out knowing I was throwing more gasoline on it. So when you look at some of the things, and like I say, it's destruction and stuff to make him look bad, but really, I don't understand why you can't turn around, put a spotlight on the guy with the gas can and go, well, he's got the gas can. Why don't you talk to him? Why are you asking me questions? Why don't you ask him what their plan is? And why doesn't he do that? That's what I'm pissed about. Why doesn't he sit there, turn it back around on them and say, instead of you asking me about inflation, why don't you ask them why they're standing in the way? Why don't you ask these two Democratic senators who I've had at the White House more than anybody else why they're standing in the way? Why aren't you gassing up Air Force One and going to West Virginia? Why aren't you gassing up Air Force One and going to Arizona and letting the people know what these bought for corrupt senators are doing to not make your life better? Why is it that you are the president of the United States? You have a bully pulpit, but ain't no bully behind the pulpit. It's a freaking kitten.
Well,
you're supposed to be a lion, and you look like an alley cat.
Well, again, that's my last thing before I get out of here. Again, that's not who you elected. And so he is who he said he was. He's doing what I expected him to do. He's not that dude. He's a polite dude. He rides Amtrak. He has grandkids. He gets very emotional about the loss of his son. He's a family man. He's a kind-hearted man. That's not that dude.
You're right.
If
True.
you wanted that dude, there were plenty of people that you could have chosen. If you wanted somebody to yell and stuff, you could have got Bernie Sanders up there and he'd have yelled. If you want an old man yelling at a podium, Bernie would have yelled all day for you. Again, that yelling doesn't mean effective leadership either, right?
No, it doesn't.
I lead at my job and I don't yell unless I have to. Now I do. There are times, but it's at this point in my career, I'm more effectual without having to use that tool. And so it's not that he's not yelling, but you have to understand the presidency is about the whole administration, not just the president. It's the administration and how they package the message and stuff. Because the president's not on social media. He's not doing all the commercials. He's not doing all the talk shows and stuff. His party administration are letting him down. He's doing what he needs to do. He's on the phone working things out. If the people that are supposed to be his press secretaries aren't presenting these opportunities for him, aren't giving him talking points, aren't giving him, because he's not Donald Trump. He's not watching TV 24/7. So he's not catching all these clips and stuff. If his people aren't doing that for him, it's a failure of administration so much more than I would put it directly the blame on Joe. And the fact that they've sidelined one of his biggest weapons in the vice president, and she's been muted over the last year. Like I say, a C, is it going to be a failure? I don't think so. I'm hopeful that they'll turn it around and stuff. But yeah, they need to get better. Hey, check me out on my OnlyFans. I got some short films with long content. Appreciate y'all. Hey, I will see y'all next week. Sorry about cutting you short.
All right, JP. Always appreciate it. Be safe out there.
Peace.
Peace. All right. Well, that was the franchise. Doing franchise things coming in. So let me go ahead and just pick up from that, y'all, because I hear everything that Jermaine said, and I agree with most of that. But I'm still very disappointed. I do agree. Yelling doesn't always mean that you get things done. But, you know, when I hearken back to Donald Trump and ask myself, what would Donald Trump do when you have two people in your party standing in the way of getting your legislation done? Build Back Better, dead. Police reform, dead. Criminal justice reform, dead. Voting rights, dead. And yes, I am not letting the 50 Republicans who are standing in his, I'm sorry, is it 50 of them or 52? Because I can't tell what Sinema and Manchin really are. But anyway, I digress. But there's 50 registered Republican senators and two wannabes standing in the way of his legislation. A lot of this legislation that could get done during reconciliation and is not being done because you've got two rogue senators standing in your way and there's no pushback. You rolled out the red carpet. You've hemmed, you've hogged, you've whined, you've dined. You've done all the civility in the world. My God, when do the gloves come off a little bit, though? And if it ain't coming out of Biden's mouth, where are the PACs that run these ads on TV? When Donald Trump was president, and you would see, what was the name of that group of Republicans that was the Heritage? Not Heritage. What's the name of them, Lori? Always running them ads on YouTube and stuff. They still run them every now and then. They were the Never Trumpers, the Lincoln Project.
Yes.
The Lincoln Project would run all these ads about Donald. Where is our version of the Lincoln Project running ads in Arizona and West Virginia talking about, because see, here's the problem I have. And I talked about this before. Republicans do certain things very well, and I admire it out of them, actually. Now, the problem is that you can do something well, but you use it the wrong way.
Yes.
One of the things that they do very well, y'all, is they brand stuff. Look at how they branded anything that makes white people uncomfortable is called critical race theory. Now, that ain't what it really is, right. But they just basically take anything that you do to make white folks feel uncomfortable about being white, and now it's under this umbrella called critical race theory.
I have a question.
Yes.
And there is a question too, something as along the lines as you're going with branding. But Anthony Price had a question that said, going back on your point of how long has Congress had the power over the president? That means Joe can say whatever Congress is going to turn it down.
How long has Congress had the power over the president?
Over the president.
To be honest, Congress has always had the power over the president. They
Yeah.
call it. I mean, truthfully, what you are supposed to say is that Congress provides checks and balances. The legislative branch is checks and balances over the executive branch, and that's the way it's supposed to work. But it's been used now. It's been weaponized, I would say, Anthony. So it's supposed to be checks and balances, and that's why you have a upper house and a lower house, the Senate and the House of Representatives. All of that is supposed to be checks and balances on each other, just to make sure that folks aren't doing crazy stuff. But the problem is things have gotten so politicized that it's not checks and balances anymore. It's just obstruction.
Right.
That's the problem. It's, hey, even if our constituents are in favor of $15 an hour minimum wage, we're going to oppose it because the guy in the White House is in the opposing party. Hey, we think everybody should have access to medical care, but yeah, we're going to oppose it because the guy in the White House is not in our party. Hey, we're going to oppose prescription medicine that doesn't put you in bankruptcy. But yeah, because we get kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies and because the guy in the White House is in the other party, we're going to have to say hard no to that. Hey, our constituents want to have free and fair elections. Yeah, we do too. But the guy that's proposing it is in the White House and he's in the opposing party, because you can't tell me that the last time the Voting Rights Act was brought up, it was a damn near unanimous vote. Mm-hmm. And there's still 16 Republicans in the Senate today that voted for it the last time it came up. None of them voted for it today, or a couple of days ago, rather, not because, their positions changed, but because the political climate has changed so much that they can't vote for it, because they're more worried that if they're on the record supporting anything that's got Joseph R. Biden's name attached to it, it will cause them to be primaried. Donald Trump will get mad at them and select some nut job to primary against them.
Right. And
the problem is, and before I snap back, but the problem is this: most of these nut jobs will beat them in a primary, because they'll come out, they'll support the nut job. But the nut job is so extreme, they will not be able, a lot of times, unless they go unopposed, like Marjorie Taylor Greene did. Nobody ran against her in her district. That's how she won. It wasn't because she had ideas, because if you've ever heard her talk, an idea ain't never been in her head. But most of these people, if you get these nuts to run in a general election where most people are more in the middle, but these extremists are so far out there, they're not going to be able to win general elections. So I'm actually kind of excited about the midterms, because I think the more nut jobs that Herschel Walkers and all that Trump is pushing behind, they're going to do good in the primary. But when it's time for the general election, they're probably going to fall on their face.
And but actually, Marjorie, someone is running against Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, now?
Yes, this absolutely. Support her on Twitter.
Yes. Yeah. So what I'm saying, y'all, is that when you've got this, we already knew the Republicans before Joe Biden won the election. It didn't matter who was going to become president. We already knew that the Republican stance was, if we are in the minority, we're going to do everything that we can to say no. They could be voting on America apple pie, and you would get 50 Republicans to vote against it. They listen. We already know where they stand. I'm not letting them off the hook. But what I am saying is that as unified as they are, and like I just said, there were 16 Republicans that are still in the Senate today that voted for the Voting Rights Act, right? How is it that now Mitch McConnell can get them same 16 to now turn their position the other way just to provide a unified position of opposition, but the Democrats can't keep all 50 together to counteract that?
Brian,
because you got rogue ones. Go ahead, see. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're putting the question out there, but you're also answering at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, rhetorical.
It's about It's about that united front, regardless as to how I feel about you personally, or even professionally. When we go out here on this larger platform, on this larger stage, we are together. And it doesn't matter if you and I are looking at the same rainbow and, you see colors 1, 2, 3, and I see it 2, 3, 1. It doesn't matter. But we're both going to watch this thing in 3, 2, 1 vision. And that's what we're going to show the public. Democrats have not gotten that yet. I don't understand how you and I can be our ages and we can come fresh on the scene. I am not old in politics at all. Matter of fact, I'm a babe. I still learn politics by listening to you and TYT. How is it that someone like me that is freshly putting my toe into the political arena see that problem and expressing it and putting it out? And like you said, we're talking decades.
Yeah.
It's the same faces. It's the same things over and over. To our brother's point, Jermaine, whenever he was saying about how this era of Trump, I don't even want to say administration because it's an era of Trump has divided the country. Before I even see Kamala or any black woman or any woman of color, take that office, this country would have to get back to not only a level of healing, but of stepping towards progression. Right now, we got too much sewing up to do. Right now, I'm pretty sure we would love to see a black woman or any person of color and different things like that. But because this can has been open, and because people are so open with their biases, they are very open with their racial rhetoric and things like that. And there is no true accountability, even when it comes to like our judicial system, because when you talk about our government, you got to talk about all three. So not only are you talking about the executive branch and the legislative branch, but you're also talking about the judicial system. And hell, we can't even get that portion together. A third of it. We can't get a third of this government together, let alone talking about trying to get all three. You know what I'm saying? So, yep. So with that being said, we have more exposure because that's the only thing that's really working for us right now.
Right.
The more things that we expose, the better off we are. But so we have to go through that stage of exposure, then cleaning, healing, and then we can see some progression, perhaps. But we damn sure need to do something about our terms, because it's been killing this country forever. People are sitting in their seats way too long because they are concerned about the money, because that's what it really is about. It goes back to them.
That's what makes it hard, CJ, because I'm not gonna get it twisted, and Anthony, I'm gonna answer your question right after that. But let's not get it twisted that I'm not blind to believe that the power and the corruption tilts one side of the aisle or the other. It's all of them.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi raises millions of dollars a year in corporate money, and this is the main problem. Corporate money has killed politics.
Yeah, absolutely.
because no one can make me believe that when these lobbyists and when these corporations are sending money to your campaign, you are not beholden to them whatsoever. Your thoughts, your agendas, everything that you're trying to do has not shifted somewhat. Before I
You
jump
know
all the
what?
way back on that, Anthony says, so Congress isn't helping Joe because they don't want the clapback from Trump if he comes back and cleans house. Yes,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
the clapback that Trump brings is Trump basically took the Republican Party by hostage.
He did.
A lot of the voters that vote Republican vote Trump. And
Right.
Trump has proven that, you got to see, again, this is what I said about Republicans. And Trump ain't really a Republican, but he's under
He's
that
not.
umbrella. He's a brander. Trump ran
Exactly.
Trump hotels. He slapped his name on hotels. He slapped his name on bottled water. He slapped his name on steaks. He slapped his name on casinos. And then what he did was his biggest branding of all was he slapped his name on the Republican Party.
Exactly.
And basically fused the two of them together and made it almost inseparable to basically say if you
loyalty.
right, because now if you defy me, I will find my minions and they will run against you, because if they're not one thing, they are loyal and crazy about me. I can tell them to kill themselves with ivermectin and bleach and all this other stuff, and they will do it, and they will spread all my lies. They will run audits in states that I won. They'll do all of these things because I branded the Republican Party Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Just like he slapped his name on that party like he slapped it on the side of a building. And that's exactly what it is.
Right.
So we're talking about branding, right? So they understand that if they want to keep the corporate money going, if they want the power, the position, the notoriety that comes with being a U.S. congressperson, they know that they have to please that crazy wing of their party, whether they really believe it or not. And that's the problem, CJ, is that they're not going to voluntarily say, oh, yeah, we ought to be capped out with term limits, because you basically cutting their money off if you do that.
Right.
They're not going to willingly do that.
But see, like that would be the solution. Okay, in my head, like that would be the solution, because now I have to get back to pleasing the people, because I know that my time in that seat is short. And regardless as to what is being offered, now I'm, trying to weigh out.
Yeah, I feel you, but pleasing their constituents isn't how they make money.
Right. I get that. I know. I get that. I'm not contesting that, but I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking out loud, and I'm processing. No, like
you're right. That could make people stay honest. But the biggest thing that makes people stay honest is when the Supreme Court sat there and said corporations are people and they can donate the political funds, everything went to hell. It was already bad, don't get me wrong, but the Citizens United decision at the Supreme Court just put it on steroids, where basically endless amounts of different PACs can sit there and donate to political campaigns and influence candidate decisions. And when you look at Kyrsten Sinema, for example, she's fighting against what her constituents want.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself why. Joe Manchin is not as much as he brings up West Virginians and everything that he says, he's flat out lying.
Yeah, of course.
When he's talking about all these things, you mean to tell me that West Virginians don't want $15 an hour minimum wage? West Virginians don't want a regulated prescription drug care? West Virginians don't want child care, child tax credits. You mean that they don't want all of that? You're really trying to tell me that West Virginians want to stay poor in the 49th or 50th worst state, depending on which metric you use? They want to stay that way so that you can sit on your yacht boat while you're in Washington and drive your Maserati back and forth to West Virginia? Them same West Virginians you talking about, Joe? Or is Joe looking after the fact that if he comes up with clean energy reform and things like that, hey, that takes away from the fact that he owns a coal plant in West Virginia. Why doesn't Joe Biden ever point out the fact, hey, I wonder if the fact Joe Manchin actually has a coal plant influences his decision not to really speak honestly about clean energy. Maybe he has a stake in that. Here's another thing, CJ, too, is that Martha Stewart went to prison for insider trading because she got a tip on stocks. There are Congress people, most of them, that own stocks, that preside over committees that are directly related to those stocks.
Right.
And they get away with it all the time. And I don't mean just Republicans. I mean, Dianne Feinstein is a Democrat out of California.
Right.
David Perdue, Kelly Loeffler. All these people found that, hey, it seemed like y'all made some interesting stock decisions at a time when it looked like things were starting to go under, or people were investing in medical supplies because of COVID and things like that. Like, it almost seemed like you had some kind of upfront knowledge that the general public didn't have. Yes, because they sit in these confidential committee meetings and they get these stock trade tips and then they make these decisions. But that was the same thing that Martha Stewart went to jail for.
Right.
Same thing. I'm sorry, I can keep going in. Franchise, you back?
Hey man, it was such a good topic. I got back for a second, and
okay.
I mean, really, I got back. Hey, so the best way to keep people honest is to elect honest people. There is no other way, because we talk about shortening terms and stuff like that. I don't know about you, but most bank robbers want to be in and out in as little bit of time as they can and stuff. They don't stick around for the cops to show up. One of the things that's been argued about short-term limits is that the people elected will not feel obligated to do anything because they don't have anything to gain by doing the people's wishes.
That's
that would be the opposite end of it. Yeah, that would be.
And so but it's not a bad idea, you know. So the thing is, like, so how do we fix this? We were talking. My brothers talk about taking out corporate money. Corporate money. So politics isn't about people; it's about power, right? And but at the piece of it, though, there has to be somebody that stands up, raises their hand, and say, "I got to be responsible for the way that I vote."
Right.
Because we talk about Joe Manchin, and it doesn't matter if Biden doesn't point it out. If you are an average consumer of media, you can see the hypocrisy in some of your candidates, and the fact that they're not doing what they said they were doing.
Right.
And so when they come back to you again, like the black community has already said, hey, we don't want to see you in the community around election time. If you have not been there the other times of the year, we're tired of it. We're tired of seeing white people show up to black churches during election time to sing Amazing Grace and clap off beat.
Off beat.
More so than off beat.
It's okay.
That really caused the hang up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who don't know the words to Amazing Grace? Anyway, but the problem is that that most people and politicians understand the psychology of people. People want to be lied to. They want to. Look at social media.
You know,
they want to be lied to.
Absolutely.
People want to be told that they're taller, that they're prettier, and they'll do anything to do it. They'll put makeup on, they'll put wigs on, they'll tattoo themselves, they'll buy $5,000 pieces of clothing and jewelry and stuff to enhance their looks and stuff. If anything will say that you like me,
they'll ban books that talk about the fact that they used to enslave people. Yeah, they'll do all that stuff to feel better.
Well, you know, now we've talked about CRT, and I tell you, I completely understand why you don't want to talk about the thing that went on in the 50s and 60s, because grandma's in those pictures.
Right. Exactly. And she's loud and proud.
She knows she might show up in one of them clips, and then she's gonna have to explain to her. She's gonna have to explain to her biracial grandkids.
Oh yeah,
watching them pictures.
Listen, true story.
Or grandpas at the other end of that hose are letting that dog go. I get it. I wouldn't want to buy. Hey, look, I've done some shady stuff in my life, and I don't want nobody talking about it.
Right. Go ahead, CJ.
So I
and
get it.
To your point, to what both of y'all's point, true story that actually took place in my family quite a few times because
Grandma was in the picture
because we have biracial children. But grandmama and grandpapa, they wasn't with that. So now the grandpapas, the grandchildren are questioning. Oh, we wouldn't always blend it. Oh no. So it makes them feel awkward. It puts them in an awkward place. You know what I'm saying? So yes. So I thought that was very very nicely and very nice and very coincidental that you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of makes me smile a little bit because that's that exposure that I was talking about. That's that exposure. And that's the whole point of being exposed, is to make you feel very uncomfortable, make you check yourself before you wreck yourself, and hopefully to cause you to make better decisions,
CJ, that's a mouthful because that really takes folks committed to being reflective enough to want to improve. But like Jermaine said, people would rather be lied to and be told, you don't need to improve. Everybody telling you to do better and be better, but you're good just the way you are. It's them trying to change you, and in changing you, they're trying to change our country. They're trying to take away our heritage, everything that we had, and they're rewriting the history with their new history and trying to get rid of us. This is what's called replacement theory in a lot of circles, where you're hearing them talk about, and they'll even say it about the Jews will not replace us, and that they're importing more citizens in to take over the white people. Because if we simply just keep allowing illegal immigration, the fear is that, well, eventually it'll be a whole lot more of them than us. And then our culture and our way of life as we used to know it will be no more. So every time, CJ, that you're being told to accept and accept and accept, what they're telling people you're really saying is conform. And again, remember I said they use branding pretty well, but they use it for the wrong reason. So they brand those kind of things into, hey, they're trying to get rid of us. They're trying to replace us. Instead of saying, use the word diversity, they won't say the word diversity. They'll use something that's antithetical to diversity because it's all about branding, right? It's all about fear. I know that I can keep you under my thumb as long as I make you scared as hell. You won't move unless I tell you to move because I got you so shook. You are afraid to move because I've put that into you that if you do, they're going to come after you. They're going to rape your wife. They're going to rape your children. They're going to do all, they're going to move into your neighborhood. They're going to start showing up at Trader Joe's, at the World Market. And them people need to go on back over to Bi-Lo and Food Line because they ain't got no business up in Trader Joe's. They're going to tell you all of that. They're going to tell you all of that stuff. Just
and
keep
here's
you
the thing, though, Brian. But here's the thing. As much as we do admire the unification of the Republicans and stuff, here's the part that kind of grabs me on the other side of that. Do anybody ever deduce the fear mongering versus to what actually happened? Like, do any of them actually grow a brain and be like, you know what? I've been hearing the same fear mongering, this whole thing of they're coming right for us. Who's came? Who's taken your life and changed it? Who has taken away your benefits and all these other things that they said that they would do? And who is the they? The day that anybody that don't look like them.
Yeah, black people.
Right. I mean, it's
black folk.
It's crazy.
I think you have to understand that this country is systematically designed to. This country is systematically designed to reinforce all the things that you're talking about. Look at our media and stuff.
Correct.
Look at how black men and women are portrayed. So so when they say that they're cutting and stuff, it's easy to back that up because you can just turn on the news and see the black bandit broke into the place or shot up the place or
Right.
killed a white woman or kidnapped a white. All the narratives that they put out there are reinforced daily. That's why it's simple things, and when you get older and stuff, you understand why it wasn't an accident that the good guys were white and the bad guys were black. It was
Right.
put into subconsciously to identify that stuff over and over again. If you take somebody and you show them two cowboys and one in white and one black, they will see the good guys who the bad guy is. They branded, talking about the serious branded, it has been reinforced in our society. White's right and black is wrong. It has been reinforced over and over.
Right.
And so when you say, how do they know that it's not happening? Well, they don't know because it is happening because Fox News told them it was happening. The local news, the local news doesn't happen. You have to understand that media is a business. The news isn't there to inform you. The news is there to make money.
Right.
And
If they were not making money,
the more views they
push
have,
whatever narrative that they
the
want.
way they get
Right.
from the news.
Right.
And I was just saying, like and it is. They actually get an award for the views that they have. And so now it's just like politics and everything else. Now we're not worried about giving you news. We just worried about keeping our viewership up. And so now we move away from news. Now we just putting things out there to keep that.
Well, CJ, to your point, do you remember going on to a feed on Facebook, and if somebody posts something from World Star where folks start fighting and stuff, those get more views and likes than somebody posting a story about somebody helping the old lady across the street? That will never get as much likes as somebody getting down in the back. Right.
Listen,
it ain't interesting.
Being good is boring. Being good is boring. It's you saying, you walking that straight and narrow, that ain't gonna make me want to look at you and follow you. But as soon as I see somebody pop somebody in the mouth or walk up and give them that, that one hit of quitter
and your engagement, you'll watch it longer. You'll sit there and stare at it longer. But if it's boring,
old boy coming in there walking on his girl, cheating on him. Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch that like 15 million times. Oh, and I'm hit like. So yeah, no, we get it.
And with that in mind, like when you talk about why do people vote for Trump, because for what you're saying now about the bully pulpit stuff, and they wanted somebody that they thought was going to be strong and say stuff that everyone wanted to say, the world leaders and stuff. You mentioned earlier that you're a baby in politics, and so one of the things about politics that I would say is that it's not as clear cut and dry as a lot of people want to make it. There are a lot of different things, especially when you start talking about world politics and why, like people are real big about talking about things made in America and stuff. America's place in the world is as a consumer because we have the money. It's not as a manufacturer. And for people who don't understand economics, what it would mean if we stopped buying products from around the world and how that would eventually affect our economy too. It's not as simple.
He got frozen.
It's not as simple.
A lot of people want to overcomplicate certain issues. They want a lot of that stuff was started by somebody, instigated by somebody, right? Because they wanted the views. And that's what politics is. There's a lot of instigation and a lot of things. Again, look at politics like CRT that came out of nowhere when instigated to being something that it's not. If you look at, really, the Green New Deal, Build Back Better, all this stuff, there's a lot of cherry picking in terms of information that's being put out and what's being hyped up. And hide your kids, hide your wives. They're coming for your guns and stuff. No one's coming for guns. I know because I keep them, and it's just great. But it really is a lot of theater, and so politics is complicated. But again, at the basis of it, they can't win without individual votes. And there are people, the constituents in these states, Arizona, West Virginia, wherever and stuff, who like to be lied to, and they don't have a problem lying to them, telling them that, oh, know what you saw. Because the big thing, they go back and tell them, say, I know what you saw, but don't believe what you saw. It's
Right.
like Eddie Murphy.
Exactly.
And that just a long time ago. Hey,
Don't
With
wasn't
me.
me.
What me?
Exactly.
Well,
And that's how they got them.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, Jermaine, to that point, Joe Manchin, as an example, to your point, has stood in the way of Joe Biden, has kept West Virginians from advancing, and still enjoys over a 50% approval rate from West Virginians.
Let me
because it's coming from them dang
the Voting Rights Act that they just they couldn't pass because they wouldn't do the rule change. So Manchin said he was for the vote for the voting right, but not the rules change. And so here's a guy who's masterfully playing both sides, because I can say I'm for it, knowing that it will never get there. I can vote for it, but I know that because if I don't change the rules, it'll never get there.
Exactly.
We can't prove it, and then I can stand behind whatever when I tell my constituents, yes, I was for it and I wanted to vote for it, but not that way. That's not the way we do things. We should do things in a bilateral or bipartisan way and stuff, and we shouldn't be changing rules, even though historically, and that's the thing too. People don't, when people don't read, when they're not informed, when they're basically hearing how processes work and what the history of the Congress is and stuff, they make rule changes all the time.
Well, they just did it last. They just did it last month. They just did it last month to pass the debt ceiling increase. Sinema and Manchin changed the rules to get the debt ceiling up. You know why? Because corporate money said you better change it. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to civil rights legislation about Black and brown people not being discriminated at the ballot box, oh, no, we got to do that bipartisan. Oh, debt ceiling? Yeah. We can change the rules for that. So Sinema and Manchin need to be pushed on. How was it good 30 days ago, but it wasn't good when it came time for John Lewis Act? But yet on Martin Luther King Day, you quoting all these Dr. Martin Luther King quotes, and you doing everything counter to what it is that he stood for and was about. So the hypocrisy is mind-blowing, because, and even from the other side of Congress too, where they love to quote King, but if King were alive today and saying the things that he's saying, they call him a socialist, a communist, and everything else, and they would talk crap about him. Real quick, Anthony says reporters label Black people animals, but they're the ones that started it. They made us this way. I don't know if anybody can make you anything, but they do control the narrative a lot of times, and they do cause low information folks out there that consume limited amounts of media or just in certain places to drive that narrative home and make you believe something that is not true. Because again, it's about fear, right? If I make you afraid of the Black folks, what do when you live in neighborhoods with Black folks? You move somewhere else in your own neighborhoods and you stay away from them. You go to different grocery stores because you know Black folks don't shop there. That's what you do.
Exactly.
The other part about
that's how
it's wanted.
Go ahead, Jermaine.
No, go ahead, CJ.
Go, CJ.
No, I was just gonna say that's the very process of how fear mongering works. We're gonna let you see something, we'll label it. Why? Because we have the platform to do it. That's the media, and that's how it begins to work. And then after a while, it'll just work on its own. It's the same theory as the Willie Lynch theory about how to make and control your slaves.
It's about repetition.
In itself will just start to work automatically. You can take your hands and sit back and truly play
and
innocent.
keep on doing it.
I don't know why they're doing it. They're doing it on their own, and it'll be true because of the power of.
Are you freezing up? What's going on with the people? Everybody freezing today. Can't pay the internet bill. What's up with y'all? Now CJ done froze. Look at him.
He ain't got no power.
Dallas,
Look at him.
look like Dallas Cowboy.
Look at him. What
Come
I
back to
was
us,
saying
CJ.
while he's frozen and stuff. What I was saying was that the idea is that we get together so we don't talk about it. It's like a man with a couple different girlfriends and stuff. I don't want them all sitting down together so they can piece this thing together and see where I've been lying to them all.
Right.
I want to keep on each other's throats and stuff and antagonistic and stuff, so I can play both sides of that line and stuff. So that's where division comes in too, because what people understand is that people are generally, regardless of color, want the same things. They want to be safe. They want to be valued. They don't want to have to worry about physical things like shelter, food. We want our families. We want to be healthy, right? Everybody wants that. There's not somebody that you can go poll and it wouldn't poll well. Do you want all these things? Yeah, we want these things. But it's regardless of being black or white, you want these things. And we can hold our government accountable for making sure these things happen if it were not for the fact that we're that busy mistrusting and talking about the other races and stuff. I've said this before, and not in the reverse of when black guy got a white people say I got a black friend, but I really do have lots of friends throughout the country and stuff, and I know some really good men. I mean, know their hearts of really good white men, really good black men, Asian, whatever the race and stuff. And so that kind of stuff is not bound to a certain race that has more moral character or fortitude than any other race and stuff. There are good people around the world and stuff. There are some people who are bad, but that doesn't know any boundaries either and stuff. What we had to do is put that aside and focus on what the goals are, those tenets that I was talking about, and how do we make those things happen for every American, because every American deserves that.
There you go. There you go. So we got to wrap it up with our final thoughts. Just go around the table. Lori, what's your final thought?
Final thought is Kamala Harris. I know she's been shunned, but she needs to step it up if she needs to sit here to make her agenda known, and especially in this time of discourse. She needs to step it up.
All right. Fair enough. CJ?
My overall assessment of today's show is not only should we continue to educate ourselves in the political arena, because it all ties together, okay? So educate yourself in the political arena. If you don't know your history, start to get to know it, and really true exercise your power of voting, because that's where the change is really going to be.
JP?
Yo, so I think, again, I said left first time and came back. I think the administration is probably a C right now. That's what we're talking about for the bulk of the show. How's Joe Biden doing at this 1 year mark and stuff? It's okay. I would say about Kamala Harris that if you could tell me what Mike Pence's signature piece of legislation or priorities were, then you can talk junk about Madam Vice President. But I'm pretty sure that you can't, because that's not really. If you even go back to Joe Biden, Dan Quayle, what were those guys known? Well, Dan Quayle we know, but what were those guys known for? And so the vice presidency is there as a supportive, but not to outshine the president. And if she was more assertive than Joe Biden is being and stuff, people would be those theories that the only reason that Joe was there was to get her into office, and that they're gonna switch and she's the real president. We'd be having those conversations and stuff.
That was their theory. That was their theory before the election. It was a Trojan horse situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Trojan horse, and so it's a tightrope, right, for the administration on both sides, for the presidency and the vice presidency. The big thing for my final thoughts is that no matter what's going on at any level of government, it is incumbent upon the people that vote, to make sure that we hold our elected officials accountable, because as much money as they throw out there, it doesn't matter how much money or how many billboards and who's coming by on houses and stuff like that. It's our job, like CJ said, to educate ourselves and make sure that we are making informed decisions and holding our people accountable.
Hey, all great thoughts. I'm gonna end it with this. Recently, Mitch McConnell was asked, what does he say to Black and brown voters that are afraid that their votes will not be counted in upcoming elections because of all of the voter suppression legislation is out there. Mitch McConnell said the quiet part out loud, that he thinks that's not true because polls have shown that blacks have been voting at higher and higher rates, just as Americans. Mitch McConnell. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Black folks in the United States of America are Americans. And that's the problem is that folks don't get to be seen on the same playing field. Folks aren't interested. He did try to. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jermaine.
I think that was taken out of context. I mean, not out of context, but I think it was.
No, I heard what he said. No, he
said it, but even I don't believe seriously that's 100% what he meant. He was really just talking about the rest of it. The proper word would have been the rest of America.
It was a poor choice of words. I agree with you, Jermaine. I think it was a poor choice of words.
Yeah, it's just poor choice of words.
From a. I guess here's my point.
Man. I mean, really.
Well, that's where I was going. Because we started out with that point that older people. He came from an era where black folks was colored. Let's not get it twisted. He came from an era where black folks was coons and niggas and all this and that and the other. So he just is probably comfortable calling the black person next to him any one of those epithets than he is an African American. But we're hyphenated, so we're not pure Americans. I'm not saying that he doesn't think we're Americans, but they damn sure don't think we the pure Americans. We kind of got brought in. They brought us in as Americans. We need to show gratitude. We need to show gratitude for that.
Black people are not immigrants. We're imports.
Right. That's true.
We're not slaves. We were enslaved. Just as those points and stuff. But I'm gonna let you have your final thoughts.
All right. Let me get back to my final thought. But anyway, whether or not, again, I don't let anybody brand me. Who am I? I define who I am. Yeah. I want you guys out there to define who you are and make sure that they understand that your vote carries as much weight as the true-blooded Americans. Don't let anyone try to dilute your access to the ballot. They are going to try to make it harder this year for a lot of you to vote. Do not get discouraged. Do not get out of line. Do whatever it is that you have to do. We have to push more of a progressive agenda and really put new blood into the House and into the Senate, because a lot of these older folks are stuck in their ways and may not be connected to what's really going on in their communities anymore. Many of them don't even hold town halls when they go home. They hold fundraisers. And some of the craziest things is they go to states not even in their state to hold these fundraisers. So they are not listening to you in town halls. Make them listen to you on voting day. And that right there, y'all, is the final thought. Let me thank my panel, CJ Jones, Lori Parker, Jermaine, the franchise ex-porn star Parker, for coming through. We'll see y'all again, same time next week. Thank y'all for tuning in. Lori, take us home. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
This a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And this a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And this a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a